this thing on? I'm back, but this time I want to talk about some of my favorite books and movies I've consumed this year. Now, as much as I do love reading books, I also enjoy watching movies. I love film, big film lover, and I'm slowly approaching my 100th movie watch this year, so why not commemorate that with a video talking about some of my favorite watches this year. For the first book, we have East of Eden. And East of Eden is this masterpiece of a novel. It is an epic story, a saga about a family, generational curses, connections, love, everything that you want in the book. I call it literally the perfect novel. I did a review on it, so check that out as well. But yeah, great novel. For movies, we have After Hours, directed by Martin Scorsese, and this is a surprise for me because I'm not really used to very surrealist kind of comedy films, especially those being like one of my favorite films. But this was an amazing movie. I watched this just like the title, After Hours, dark, midnight, and I watched this with my friend, part of our film club, and we love this. It follows this man and his night in New York City and just encapsulating this very odd but also kind of funny New York City night, dealing with this, dealing with that. It's amazing. That's all I can say. I don't want to spoil too much, but just know you're in for a trip. The next novel we have is A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I can't even stress how much I love this book. Shout out to the guys for recommending me this because I was never going to start a Game of Thrones, a Song of Ice and Fire. I never watched the show, nothing. So this is like my first introduction into this whole world, this whole setting, and I love it. This is like epic high fantasy at its best. This is phenomenal, a great world building, great storytelling. I love the POVs, but yeah, definitely check this one out as well. And the next movie I have up is Mulholland Drive, directed by David Lynch, and I actually have a Criterion Collection edition of it. This is so fire. Shout out my friend for giving this to me for my birthday. And if you don't know anything about David Lynch, watch this. This is going to be our intro into his world, his filmmaking, his storytelling, because this is a surrealist, fantasy, neo-noir type of blended movie, and it encapsulates so much. It follows this lady named Betty as she awakens on Mulholland Drive after getting a mysterious car crash, and she wakes up not knowing who she is, and now she's on this journey throughout LA to rediscover herself, and what she feels like is a nightmare ultimately turns into a dream. This is one of my favorite films of all time, probably my favorite movie of all time, but I definitely recommend that you guys check this out. My next novel is Sula by Toni Morrison, and I did a review on this as well, so I'm not going to go too much in depth, but this is a fantastic story, probably one of my favorite stories by Morrison. I think it really shows the essence of womanhood, especially throughout different women. It's so much in this novel, and it's short. It's probably no less than like 200 something pages, and I really enjoyed this one. And the next film I have for you guys is The Last Black Man in San Francisco, and you guys, it was like one of my first films that I watched this year, and this is an amazing film, amazing storytelling. It's picturesque, it's odd, it's surreal, but it's also comforting. It's also realistic in a way. It follows this man trying to reclaim his property in San Francisco, and he realized the harmful nature of gentrification and getting rid of community and kind of reconnecting with one's past, and also living on a lie. I feel like that movie really tackles that. It's probably my second favorite film this year. Really enjoyed this one. Definitely check it out, and let me know what you guys think about that. The next book I have is Strange Building by Japanese author Yukesu, and this is probably the most fun I had reading a book ever. You're basically solving a case, a strange occultist case, while reading the book. So it follows this investigator who's also the narrator, who's also the author, and you are giving these stories about these strange buildings and structures. Throughout that, find out more about its structure, the hidden compartments, the twisted floor plans, and a whole bunch of stuff. And towards the end, you're working with the narrator and his architect friend to solve the mystery. This is amazing. Really, really good. And the next film I have is Mo Better Blues by Spike Lee, who's one of my favorite directors ever. Shout out him. And this is about a New York City jazz trumpet player by the name of Bleak, and you are following him as he is navigating his career in New York City as a jazz player and with friends, relationships, and it's derailed from his career. It's such an interesting story, and I love that Spike Lee uses jazz not only as a element towards the movie but also a character in a way. Really like this film. And my final book is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Now this is a famous story. I feel like many know. It is following Victor Frankenstein, a scientist who tries to become God and creates his own creation. And we see basically the fall of that. This is a story that's been told so many times, but the story itself, the original text, makes it so much better, expands so much on what is going on. I really enjoyed this one. And now for my final movie is one that I actually saw in theaters, and ever since I've watched it, I cannot stop thinking about it. We have the drama starring Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. Yo, amazing film. This is probably, in my opinion, the best film that released this year. I know people love Obsession and Project Hail Mary, but this takes the cake for me. Such a very fun look at relationships, at drama, at accepting people past history, and so on. I really enjoyed this film, and I can't wait to watch it again. Let me know what your guys' favorite movies and books were this year.